Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to chat with you about how Quechua and Spanish overlap, and I know that your expertise is probably mainly literature, but also just to chat, since you are Peruvian, if you've noticed it in, in everyday life there, or how that goes. So I guess just to start, if you want to talk a little bit about your background.
Well, I have to answer in English, yes?
Yeah. You can, if you
that's fine.
have trouble, you can say something.
Quechua is mostly spoken in the Andes in Peru, and the people of the coast where I grew up speak in Lima. Quechua is spoken by the immigrants, but the thing is that my mother was from the Cusco region, which is a Quechua region, and I grew up there in the every summer I would go there, and my mother and her sisters and my grandmother were bilingual, Quechua, and so we had, I think, for people from Lima, we were much more exposed to Quechua, and our family language was penetrated by a lot of Quechua words, which is not the case of families in Lima usually, but because my mother was from Cusco, and so.
Okay, good. And I guess so you grew up kind of having a crossover with the languages.
Yes.
Was it more, would your mother or grandmother just kind of all of a sudden go into Quechua, or would they use certain words, for...
Both.
Both? Okay.
They would, because several of us, and, my mother and her sisters were very close, so we grew up with our cousins. And my oldest brothers and my oldest cousins speak Quechua, but the younger ones, and I'm part of the younger ones, I had a very good comprehension when I was like 20, 21, up to there, and then I just left and I lost it.
Right.
But so when we were growing up, my mother and her sisters, or with a grandmother, they would just change to Quechua, so we wouldn't understand, for example, some things.
Yeah.
But we also used common words, like, for example, just to give you an example, no, on the table, you would say "cachita apamuy," which is "pass me the salt," or we would use, all the kids would use. Quechua is very is a very expressive language, so we used. Hola.
¿Puedo dejar esta caja
Sí, sí.
acá?
Déjala
Donde sea.
Okay.
Gracias.
So we would use words like alalau, achachao. Alalau is it's cold, or achachao is how painful, or añañao, it's how delicious, or atacao, it's I'm scared. So we would, all the children would use that, and we still use it, in fact.
Right.
So our language still, and several of us are spread all over the world, but we still use those words, and because we use them.
Yeah, so it's definitely kind of an emotional feel to those, or like
expressive. We fully understand, some of the words.
Okay.
And for us, I think we choose them because they feel that they're because of the. As I tell you, Quechua is a very, very expressive language. And I don't think that there's a correct translation, and it's a matter of just,
kind of knowing
one thing is to say, tengo miedo, I'm afraid, and another thing is to say, atacao, atacao.
Yeah.
And you say it in specific, or if you burn yourself, you say, atacao.
Yeah.
Como, instead of saying, ay, o qué dolor, it just sounds...
Yeah, it gives more feeling and more expressive. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I guess going now on to more of like your studies and teaching, I know you because I took the class, and we definitely had some of our readings were translated from Quechua, and others were authors